Welcome to our podcast radio show where we discuss how to lead our lives more in line with the natural processes of the world, enjoy a more connected life. From the spiritual through the physical, the emotional to the ecological, and all points in between. I'm Steve Gunn. Welcome to The Flow. As well as our regular show posse, we have a special guest who joins us to talk about how she transformed her life in many ways, turning around from a debilitating spiritual crisis to not only heal herself, but to go on to embark on an African adventure, donating her time and passion to help rescue monkeys. But before we meet Monica, let's check in with our regular posse. Janine in California, are you there?
I am.
Hi, and over to the UK, Sarah in Manchester, are you around with us?
I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Welcome back. And Gail on the south coast of England, sunny Bournemouth, are you with us?
I am here.
Welcome back. And back to the US, Mike in California.
Present.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Now over to Switzerland and to our special guest for today, Monica Graber. Hi, Monica. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm fine, thank you.
How are things in Switzerland today?
Oh, we had a nice sunny day.
Monica, where does your story start?
Some years ago, when I became depressive, a friend invited me to a healing session. And I went there and I liked it. So I started taking courses in spiritual healing and how to remove beliefs and patterns. I bought loads of self-help books and crystals. And I worked with them and eventually felt a bit better. And it helped me to go on with my job. I was working as a software engineer then, but only a few years. And then everything started over again. I had panic attacks and I couldn't hardly work. And I finally lost my job after having worked for almost 30 years for the same company. I saw it coming, but I wasn't able to do anything. I actually felt relieved afterwards.
These spiritual tools, this healing and all these things you were doing, had they stopped working for you gradually over time, or was it just when you lost your job that they didn't work?
No, it started before. It just was like I couldn't feel anything. I went to courses and then show how to do it. First, I felt a bit better, but then after a while, I didn't feel anything anymore. It didn't go any better. It started fading.
Was it addictive? Did you do more and more?
Yes, it was a bit, not that much, but it was addictive in a way that I met other people with the same interests, and it felt like something special. And I actually enjoyed the courses and to get more and more. Yeah, it was. I don't know. You during the courses you felt like high. You were high. I can't describe this. Can I say this in another way?
Was it? Did it feel unnatural?
Yes. It was not a natural way.
Oh.
It was. It didn't feel like me. It felt like, I was happy during that time, and it stayed a while, and then it won't fade away. It would fade away.
So what was the change for you, Monica? You say that when you lost your job, that you sensed that. What happened then?
Instead of looking for a new job, I decided to become self-employed. And I wanted to work as a healer. I then took several courses in trance and trance healing and mediumship at the Arthur Findlay College in Stansted, UK. And I also did out-of-body trainings.
This was all spiritualist methodology then, yeah?
Yep.
Or part of the spiritualist movement, yeah?
Yep.
So did this help you?
Oh, yes. I liked it very much, especially mediumship and the trance healing.
Did you feel these things pushed away any feelings of depression or sadness?
Yes, for a while, but just for a while. It was like a temporary fix, and then it disappeared. And then I had to do it again. I also bought an expensive light device, which stimulates the brain and helps relaxing. And to this, I was quite addictive. I took sometimes 3-hour sessions.
But you felt like these courses that you took did not sustain your happier feelings. They would fade away quickly?
Not that quick, because I was still convinced that I would work as a healer. Because somewhere inside, I had a feeling I'm a healer, and I had to work as a healer.
Did you ever question the spiritualist version of this and decide to try non-spiritualist stuff?
No, I stayed within the spiritual movement.
No, not spiritual. Spiritualist as in the religion that is spiritualism as opposed to spirituality. Because the sort of, what I'm talking about is what you're talking about in the colleges and everything are very much part of the spiritualist movement, which is a defined religion, isn't it? Yeah?
Yeah, it is. You have services on Sundays, and they would demonstrate mediumship. I haven't done that. I just took courses, but I haven't done that, actually. Because somehow I felt strange because I had this, I was able to do it in the courses, and then I had people I had to tell or to make contact to the other side and talk to and then there were strange people coming through, and I didn't feel comfortable with it.
So did that make you stop doing it?
The mediumship, yes.
Yeah. So you felt uncomfortable.
Yeah. But I still was convinced about the trance healing.
What changed that?
I actually started my own business, or I wanted to start my own business. I rented a small room, and I was offering trance healing and also classical massage and light sessions. And then I had a few clients, but I always felt drained out afterwards. And in fact, I never had enough power to start my business, and I was sleeping a lot, and sometimes 2 days and nights in a row. And every time I tried to make a new effort, my body would respond with pain and injuries. Then I visited a friend who went through a tough time at that moment, and when I returned home, all sorts of emotions started coming up and wouldn't go away. And then I started again trying everything from shadow work with lucid dreams. I did past life regression. I did lots of free online healing sessions, ayahuasca, but nothing really helped to get rid of these emotions. They just came up, sometimes daily in 1 hour, and then they stopped, and then came up again, and I really didn't know what to do.
Were you scared? Did it make you feel scared?
Yeah. I still had these panic attacks sometimes. I had no idea. I lost every interest in my business. And I didn't want to get up in the morning. Sleeping was the best thing. I could forget about everything. And then the last was what I tried was quite expensive soul mentoring. And then I came up with the idea that I want to sell everything and start all new, going traveling and trying out eco-villages, see if I can go and live somewhere off the grid.
So did you feel that the emotional issues that kept coming up kept driving you to look for an answer?
Yep. There's something, I don't know, there was something wanted to come out, but I just didn't know how to do it. It was sometimes I was banging in my cushion. I was crying.
It sounds like you were still suffering depression at the time. Were you aware of that? The crying and wanting to sleep?
No, I wasn't aware of that, actually, at that time. No. But there was always inside a deep sadness, which wouldn't go away. Mm-hmm. It was like a block on my heart. I can't describe it another way.
How did things change for you?
Actually, I was quite a lot on Facebook on that time. And then I came across a testimonial about Steve's work. And then I went on his website and read all more testimonials, and then I contacted him via email. And then he taught me techniques how to release all these old suppressed emotions. And it was tough, because I was so closed up, and I was feared to death to fail again. But I did it anyway, and finally I could release some deep, very old wounds and emotions, and came into balance and got my power back. And then I had loads of ideas. Suddenly, loads of ideas popped up, what I could do now. And then I just remembered what I have loved to do when I was a little child. I did rescue bees and little birds.
Oh.
And I really loved it, and no one told me how to do it. I just did it. And I once saw a documentary about the orangutans in Borneo and how bad they are treated by humans. And they showed a rescue center where they raised orphaned orangutan babies. So this was so wonderful, and I always thought once I want to go there. So I went to the internet and I looked it up, and then I came across this platform where they offered lots of different projects looking for volunteers. And then I saw this picture from this little vervet baby monkey, and it caught my attention immediately. And this project was looking urgently for volunteers. So it was in a second I made my decision. I want to go there for 6 months. And I want to raise and look after baby monkeys. And so I contacted the project leader in Cape Town. And then I booked my flights. And everything was set. And then I found someone for my therapy room. Someone who wanted my light device. I sold some furniture. And then finally I found someone for my flat. And I gave almost everything away to charity I had. I just kept some basic furniture. And then I took the plane to South Africa.
Wow.
Were you frightened?
No, not at all. I was just exciting. It was like going to an adventure, going to see new people, going to see other countries. I was
And
really
during this time, the emotions that had been troubling you no longer came back?
no. It was like waking up from a long nightmare. It was amazing.
Monica, how did it feel when you gave all your things away and you just you rented out your room and you got someone to take your light device? How did it feel when you let go of all those things?
It was so relieving. It was like, now I'm free. Free to do what I like to do.
And did they feel less important to you because you had healed yourself? So the things that you were sort of hanging on to didn't mean so much anymore.
Yeah, there's no need, to use all those things, because they don't give me anything. Because it comes from the inside, not from the outside.
And what's important is that you did it. You always had that power. You just didn't know how to access it.
Yeah, it made me, sometimes it made me angry that I could be so because it was always there.
Yeah, it's a tough process, and you did very well.
Yeah, but you helped me a lot.
No, I just showed you how to do it. That's all I did. I showed you how to do it. You had to do the hard stuff, which is actually doing it. So well done for doing that and doing it so well.
Oh, thank you.
I know you hated me. You hated me halfway through, but that's compulsory anyway. So
yeah, I was afraid of you.
Yeah,
I didn't hate you, but I was afraid of you.
They all say that, grr. Yeah, what you were afraid of was yourself, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had a feeling, and now he's going to tell me I'm failed again. And I was like, oh, I have to call. No, it's the best thing I ever did in my life, actually. And I'm really, really very grateful.
Well, you've done very well. It's all because of what you did. Everybody has the power. What they don't know is how to access it, and what they also don't know is what keeps them from it. That's the thing, isn't it? But to see somebody like yourself access their own power, the magnificent processes, the natural processes, and how they can work for us rather than against us is really what's so cool, isn't it?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Because it is natural. It's all about nature. It's not a lot of the things you were talking about, particularly the spiritualist things and some of the other stuff. It's very much about belief, and it's about based on things outside of us can heal us. And I've always believed that it's what's inside of us can heal us, and that's what's most important. And cases like yours are so amazing because it shows that that's true, that every single person has that potential.
Just have to make the step and take responsibility back. Because I think you give away the responsibility when you let someone else heal you, or I don't know, and read books, because that's there. I don't know. It comes inside. You have to feel it.
The hard thing is I make people stop reading books and doing all that external stuff, don't I? And that doesn't come easy, huh?
It's great. It's actually great. I had so many things. I had cards, decks, tarot decks. I had, I don't know, goddess cards. I had loads of crystals, books. I gave everything away, and it was like, oh, I don't have to think about it anymore. Because the only thing is just to see and to be here in the present.
What was it like to work with the monkeys? What was the first thing that you did?
After quite a long journey, I arrived in Durban, and I was picked up by my hosts. And it was a 3-hour drive to the farm, because this rescue center is situated on a farm, and the owners are Sandy and Bruce. They picked me up, and they told me a lot of things because during this 3-hour drive. And they told me that there is already a baby waiting for me when I come there, and that I will be the only volunteer. And actually, Sandy was working the whole day, so she wouldn't help me. Bruce was looking for food for the other monkeys. So when I went to the farm, the next morning, they introduced me to my first baby. It was Joker was his name, which means lad in Afrikaans. And he has already been there for 2 weeks, so he was quite easy to maintain then, because he was used to everything. And I looked for 5 days. I looked after this baby. I learned how to prepare the bottles, and that was actually the only thing they told me. They didn't tell me how to look after the baby or how to work with him. I had to learn it on the job, how you would say. And in the beginning, it was so cute when you hold this baby in your arm and you look just in his eyes, and he looks at you with his trust. I don't know. I can't describe that, He's not judging or whatever humans would do. He's just there in awe.
Did the monkey stay with you the whole time?
Yeah. I had him for about 14 hours. I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning and prepare his food, and then take him out of the sleeping box, because he had to spend the night in a sleeping box, and then feed him. And then when I went with him outside, because when they are little, we stay inside the house and go just occasionally outside, because they had 3 big dogs. And the monkeys shouldn't get used to dogs, because dogs are used for hunting. So I went with him in the garden and showed him trees. And then in the beginning, they don't know anything. They are afraid of everything. You have to show them and learn them everything. They are afraid to sit in the grass. And they have only a small environment where they feel comfortable.
Why was he there, Monica? What brought him to the sanctuary?
I think it was someone from Durban, because there are a lot of monkeys living in the cities, in the big cities, because they take away their natural habitat. And a lot of monkeys then shot. The mummies get shot, and the little ones get sold for pet. Or sometimes the mummies get killed by the cars, and then the little ones are just found on the side, on a highway. So someone called, and then they brought him. They had to fetch him in Durban. So
he was an orphan, basically.
Yeah, he was an orphan. It's all babies which came to us were orphans, because the next one, about 5 days later, there was a call, and someone called and said he had found, they just have found a baby sitting on the ground and holding on a tree and was crying. No mommy inside. It was a very small one. It was from a local area. So they just brought him. And that was so heartbreaking, because he cried for about 3 days for his mommy. And I just hugged him and stroked him and talked to him and just wanted to make him comfortable. And then finally, after 3 days, he stopped. He was a little boy. He was Mango. Oh. And after 3 days, he stopped crying. And then he started playing together with Joker, the first one. And then he started feeling comfortable again.
What was that like for you? What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it made me so angry that people can do something so bad things to animals. It really made me feel, oh. And on the other side, I was so sad. I was I was almost, crying, because I was so sad. I was sitting there and make this special call when they lose them. That they do it when they lose their mummies, and nothing would help to stop him. And you sit there and you feel so helpless. What can you do? But he eventually would stop. We got a third one, and then we got a fourth one, and the fourth one, they were all boys. And the fourth one wanted to run away for about a week. I had to stay really inside and close the windows because he wanted to run away. He didn't want to play with the others. And then, because vervet monkeys, they are really highly intelligent monkeys, I took the little one, Joker. I took him and I showed him the other one, Cody, sitting in the corner. And I said to him, go there and fetch him, go to him. And he went there and he hugged him. And then we did that as long as it did, so for I think a few days. And then finally he would come and stay with us in the group. And I was so relieved because I could go then outside. I decided, and I told Bruce and Sandy that I would relocate into an empty cage, because they had about 80 monkeys down there. They had 3 troops. An average troop is about 25, 30 monkeys. They had in 3 different cages, they had these 3 troops. And then an empty cage between. And 2 of these troops were ready to be released back into the wild. They just waited for the permission. So when I was lucky to see them, I could go when they were released back into the wild. And it's a moment I never will forget, because this is what it is all for. When they open up the cage, and then one monkey after the other one jumps up, high up to the trees, go out there.
Oh.
And that's what I always had in my mind, because, you get very attached to the little ones when you have them. So I went down there in the cage, and I stayed about 14 hours in the cage with them. I had my outdoor chair there, sitting there, and bottles there, and fruits. And I just watched them. I watched the big monkeys. I watched the little monkeys. I was actually a whole day my attention was with the monkeys. And I learned about what they are doing. They have a time when they eat, and then I have a time when they sleep, and then they explore, and then they learn from other monkeys. And if you want to play with them when they want to learn, you can't play with them because they have the learning time. And they all do it. They all do it together. It's synchronized, like. And when you're amongst the other monkeys, the big monkeys, the little ones eventually will pick up this movement, or how do you say?
Routine.
This routine. And I played with them, and I learned them how to swim. I didn't swim with them, but they had little ponds. So I stood into the ponds, and with my hands I went into the water. So they eventually would jump in and swim. It was funny.
Wow. Monica, it's such an incredible story. Could I ask you a quick question?
Oh, yes, of course.
So you obviously got very attached to these babies. Did they, I don't know what age they were, obviously they're different ages and probably hard to gauge that when they came to you, but did they become attached to you in that process?
Yes, it's gradually different. So the monkeys, they choose like a new mommy. For example, when Joka, the first one, was already there for 2 weeks, and he got very attached to Bruce because he had him for the first 2 weeks, and he took him everywhere. But because vervet monkeys are very social, they do all everything together. And when there is a baby, all relatives come and want to see the baby and hug the baby. So they come to other people. They have other people where they trust, or they come to them. So there was no problem when it came to me. They don't want to stay with their mummies all the time. But when Mango came, when he stopped crying after these 3 days, he sat on my shoulder and he came to my ear, and then he made a whole range of sounds. I've never heard them afterwards again, like a little bird, or so different sounds. And then I answered him, and then he stopped, and he came to me, and then Bruce said to me, now he has you. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, now you're his mummy. So he chose me as his mummy.
Oh, how lovely.
And then he started suck my ear, which was not very nice. It was he gave me tough times. I had to learn him because he thought that milk would come out there. And I had about 2 weeks until I taught him how to get a bottle there. It's the bottle where the milk comes out. And finally he would get, when he was thirsty or hungry, he came and he fetched a bottle and brought it to me. So
Oh,
Wow.
he's so cute. They are so cute. And he was actually I know we shouldn't have favorite monkeys, but he was my favorite monkey. He had a special face. He didn't look like the others. He looked like a little old wise man.
Wow.
And he was a clown. He was always making funny faces. And he was the biggest explorer. He went high up from the beginning. Because the others, they went just day by day, they learned more and explored more. So they learn and get comfortable. But they still need the security person, which I was. If I wanted to leave the cage, they started crying and running after me and grabbing my leg. So I had to be very tricky and very fast to escape for just a short break, or sometimes to take something to eat. And they would learn everything what you do. Like if I took down an apple and I was starting eating an apple, I had 4 monkeys on my apple eating it at the same time with me.
Oh.
Which leads to that when they have runny tummy, I would have runny tummy as well. So, but when you are 14 hours with them, it's like, nothing else matters. They pee on you, they poo on you, they tear your hair, they constantly try to search your attention. but you're just there and with them, and you are in that's when you are in the flow there. You go with them.
Yeah.
And I became a monkey myself, I think. And it was so because vervet monkeys, they don't speak much. They are very quiet monkeys. Even there were 80 monkeys who couldn't hear anything, except when a little one lost his mommy and was calling for a short time, or when there was any danger, because they have 4 remarkable alarm calls. And then when you could hear sometimes an alarm call is very loud, and then all monkeys were on one side on the fence and looking in one direction, and you could look there, and sometimes there was a snake or an eagle or even a tortoise. They were afraid of everything.
How long would the monkeys stay at the sanctuary before they were released back out into the wild?
Oh, about 3 or 4 years. It needs 3 or 4 years
Okay, wow.
until they build a troop, because they start building up a troop with the little ones, with the rescued ones, and then stop when about 25 or 30 monkeys. They stop putting in more monkeys, and then they need about 3 or 4 years until they are old enough, and they become adult. But I think about with 4 years or so. And they have to bond, and it needs time. And then over the year, they have other rescues coming in, older ones, injured ones, and they have to get in. And then almost every year, they are ready to release the troop.
So the troop gets released together, as in everybody in that troop?
Yeah.
30 or so, did you say? They get released out together?
Yeah.
They come like a family, I guess, is it?
Yes, it's a family then.
Yeah.
Normally, the female monkeys stay her whole life in the same troop, and the males would change troops. Not all, but some of them would be for a while on their own, and then looking for another troop. And
It sounds wonderful, what you've been doing with them.
They catch the monkeys, and then they build a cage in a national park. They have to ask and have to get permission. They go into the national park in the forest, and then they build a cage there, and then catch every monkey of this troop and put them in the cage, and they stay there for about 2-3 days just to get acclimatized. How do you say? Get used to the environment. And they get their food, and then they go there and open up the cage so they can go out. And then in the beginning, Bruce would go every day to feed them, about for about 2 or 3 or eventually 4 weeks. And he goes and sees what they are doing, and if everything is okay there, and then he reduces feeding them. Maybe he goes every second day, then once a week. And they also start moving away. Eventually they will be away one day when he goes there to another place.
So what did you learn from observing them with each other?
They are really very, very social. They do everything together. They also have a strong hierarchy in a troop. You can see it. They have quite a long tail, and they don't use the tail for climbing. The more straight up the tail is, the higher ranking they are, and they fight for this. That's why the little ones play fighting a lot when they are little. They play fighting, or they fight together, but it's play. But when they are bigger, then it's really they fight for the hierarchy. They have always to fight for the hierarchy. But every monkey looks after the other, and if that's why once the little ones are in the big cage, I couldn't go in, because if just one little one would cry for me or do something, the others would be alarmed and think I would hurt the baby, and they would all come after me and bite me, because they really look for each other. And the older ones, they teach the younger ones what to eat. They show them what to eat and behavings. And yeah, it's really, really very interesting. I could sit there for hours and just watching the monkeys.
I bet.
Monica, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So, within months of being depressed and sort of in that really dark place that you were in a foreign country, you were rescuing orphan monkeys. How did it feel? I mean, what was it like for you? How did you feel?
Peaceful, and it was joy. It was pure joy. And it was, sometimes you get annoyed by them, but it doesn't matter because next day is another day.
Yeah,
it's rewarding. It's all worth it. It's everything worth it. Even the heartbreaking moments. It's so worth it, because after 2 months, between 2 or 3 months, they change colors of their fur. They get older. They are not babies anymore, and then they have to be introduced to the troop. So I have to give them away. And I was sad or heartbreaking as well, because one day Bruce come and say, Joka is ready, has to go into the troop. And then he would start leaving him for 1 hour in the big monkey's cage. And it's heartbreaking, because the little ones are afraid, because they think they are humans, because I raised them. Or when humans raise them, they think they are human. They don't know that they are monkeys, so they have to learn that they are monkeys again. And in the beginning, they are afraid of the monkeys, and they would run away. And that the big monkeys, they don't want to hurt them. They just want to hug them, to hold them, and carry them around. But they are not used to it. And Joka was the first baby to go in, so he had a hard job. He was about two weeks running around and running away from the monkeys. And you sit just on the other side in the other cage. And he came to the fence and was calling me, and you can't go there and help him. Just have to, that's life. And then eventually he got used to it. And then one evening, because when Sandy came home from work, she helped me to feed them and then put them to sleep. And then one evening, Bruce came and said, "So, Joka is in, he won't come back anymore." And Tanny and I, we were sitting there and crying, and our baby. But we still had other 5 babies, was okay. But you really learn to let go. And what helps is this big picture when they go up the trees in the wild,
And do they ever, after they've been released and acclimatized back into the wild, has Bruce ever seen any of the troops return? Will they ever come back?
Yeah, some of them. There was one. He was too long a pet. He was brought to him, I think, it was 1.5 years, and he really didn't get wild again. He was too tame. They never really get tame, but he was too used to people. So he tried to release him in 2 troops, and every time he went there, he came back to him. So he had to take him out, and they have about 4 monkeys which they can't release. So they are kind of sanctuary there. They have to keep them. But the other monkeys, he went there, and then he said, one troop already has split into 2 troops, and one part went this way, the other part went in another direction, and then he came back and said, "I can't see any monkeys anymore. They don't come back." It might be, I don't know, because he doesn't go off. I think after 1 year, he doesn't go to the old places where he has released monkeys.
Did monkeys teach you about people?
Yes, they are like little children. They are really. I don't know. I didn't have children my own, so I can't say that. But for me, it was like they behaving like children.
Did
They,
the monkey society, the social behavior, teach you anything about human social behavior?
yeah, that's what I thought is when a group is doing something, others pick up doing it, and the hierarchy, of course, the higher the hierarchy is, the better the sleeping place, the better the food, because they get food first, and the best food, and what they leave is for the others, and they're all constantly fighting for this hierarchy. But I thought sometimes it's quite different from humans, because they won't cry when they get hurt. They are so quiet. They won't cry if you hurt them. They are really silent.
What did that whole experience teach you spiritually? What is it, looking back now? What has it taught you?
It's not important what I want, who I am, whatever. It's important what you have to give, what you have to others, to share with others, and just to help when you can, when you are in a better situation.
Monica, how does it compare? So you spent obviously many months and perhaps years healing people and doing different sort of modalities of healing and courses.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you got yourself healed yourself, what does it feel like when you're there looking after these monkeys? What gives you the greatest pleasure?
Well, that they grow, that they get back into wild, that they, how can I say? They just get back to be, even if they went through a hard time, they get back to happy little monkeys. I mean, they lost all their mummies, they had a tough time, they lost the security person again. It's yeah, and then they go back in this troop and they get happy little monkeys again.
And so you're fulfilling a passion from your childhood for caring for animals. Has it inspired you to want to volunteer again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to go. Definitely want to go again. Maybe not with monkeys. I'm not sure now. But it's so rewarding because they don't have. I think animals, they don't have rights in our world, and humans are so treating them so bad. And if you have the opportunity to do something, and I have time right now and still have bit money to do it, so why not? Why not? Because it gives you so much.
Do you want to talk for a moment about this particular, before we move on, this particular cause and these particular monkeys and what happens to them, and we can give out the website address and that sort of thing?
Oh, yeah. It's vervet monkeys, they are not going extinct. There are quite still a lot of them. But they are hated by people because normally they would live in the woods or in the forest. But there's more and more forest disappearing. And lots of these monkeys live in the cities, and they don't have food there. So they would go into houses and flats, into the kitchen and steal food. And then when someone comes and wants to chase him away, the others come in and start maybe biting, or then they just shoot them with pellet guns wherever they can. And sometimes just for fun. There are people, they shoot vervets just for fun. And sometimes they survive in a bad condition. Then there is they also use for bushmeat and for remedies, because the medicine men from the, I don't know, from the Zulus need remedies, and they are used, and they use also the legs and the hands for good luck. and then sometimes they just would cut a hand and let the monkey alive like this. I was lucky that I was on a rescue center where they just brought not so much insured babies. There are others where they have really, really bad cases. I didn't have to see that. I'm glad.
Monica, how can people help if they want to help this particular rescue centre? The address is vervet, vervet.co.co.
Yeah.
But
yes.
How can they help? Do they donate? What do they do?
Yes, they would appreciate any donation, Sandy and Bruce. And you could go and volunteer if it's just for 4 weeks. There are a lot of other rescue centers. If you would help, you just could look for Vervet Monkeys South Africa. You will find loads of rescue centers, little ones and bigger ones. And there is the monkey helpline, I think. Mostly donations. If you don't want to go to work with monkeys, they always can use that.
So coming full circle from being in deep depression and crisis to where you are now, what's the most notable thing? If you had to condense it down into one or two things that you would share with other people, what would those things be? What would those messages or tips or pointers be?
When you have the feeling that you feel sad or emotions coming up, you just need to find the right help. Don't forget everything about this spiritual stuff. When there is a point you feel high and higher and higher, but you would come down.
Do you mean the what I would call the pop spiritual stuff as
Yep.
opposed to the real spiritual stuff?
Yeah. It just makes you feel high and positive affirmations. And I tried that. I was standing in front of the mirror and tried positive affirmations. It doesn't help. And when you would go high and high when you have people around you, like-minded people, and then you go higher and higher, and then there is a point where you will fall.
I always define that what I call pop spirituality as being that buzzy somewhere else altered state sort of field that's out there, which most people think is spirituality, whereas real spirituality is doing that inner work, isn't it? The natural going into the pain and the dysfunction and the trauma is real spirituality.
Yes.
And people get very angry at me and call me negative because I tell them not to chant their mantras and positive affirmations and all that sort of thing. But this is why I do it. So
it's the same. There is nothing. It's not nothing. If you are joyful or if you're pain or in pain, it's just a state where you can let go, and this is equal states. It's not some bad or good or whatever. You have to just experience. That's what the monkeys do. They just experience the day or experience life, whatever it comes.
The process that I taught you and that you've done so well at involves, we won't go into details because I tend not to give people details how it works so that they can experience it genuinely each time, but it involves a process we call ego death, where that judgment of good states and bad states, and we want certain emotions and we don't want others, is abandoned to go back to be more like animals and children, where we welcome every sort of emotion. I think what struck me was when you were talking about letting the monkeys go, and the pain of letting them go and seeing them go off, but you welcome that as part of the journey.
Yeah. It's you can learn lots of if you just watch animals.
So if you were interested in the kind of volunteer work that you did, what would you recommend to someone who was sort of leaning in that direction?
I would say look it up in the internet and look carefully, because I went through a platform. It was an organization which really doesn't have much to do with the different projects, and they keep some of the money you pay there. It doesn't go to the project. So I would say directly contact the project. If you would like to experience something, you have to be open-minded because sometimes the environment is so different, or the circumstances you come in. Maybe you just sleep in a hut in some cases, or you have to share rooms. You have to work, especially if you want to work with baby monkeys during the peak season, which is from November or October, November until March. You have to work lots more than these 8 hours they would tell you. You have to work 14 hours over the weekend as well. And you have to be on the call. So you have to be prepared to work really hard. It might not be that hard work, but you don't have lots of spare time, I would say. So you have to be, and you fully have to let be the animal, the number one, you know. You just go there and support them.
There's a good old spiritual lesson of humility then, isn't there?
Yeah. And it's they appreciate, and I would say if you have time, I mean, or you also can go for 1 week or 2 weeks, because the project I was in, I would take people for 1 or 2 weeks as well. But they just say it's best if a minimum of 4 weeks. But if you have time, go more, as much as you can, as long as you can, because you want to see the whole life cycle. It's not the same if you're just there for 1 or 2 months. And then you get the babies between or before they go into the troop. I was there for 6 months, and I could see when they are from the arriving until they go into the troop. And I promised Zanny and Steve that I will come back and see when my babies are going into the wild. I want to see that. The other thing is donations. I think that's the common way to help them. And for other animals, not just the monkeys, please don't buy any ivory, don't buy any furs, but don't just see and then they have some volunteer places like petting lion cubes where they breed them. They have these hunting farms, and they are looking for volunteers to look after the cubes. And there are lots of tourists coming and stroking the cubes, and then when they are older, you can walk with them, and they call them walking with the lions. And when they are really adult lions, you can buy them and then shoot them.
That's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Word.
That's just not tolerable. And it's not written, when you look for volunteer places, it's not written on their pages, so you have to be very careful where you're going.
That's great advice.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
But I can recommend volunteering. It's one of a lifetime, or many more experiences in a lifetime you never will have back home, I think.
It sounds like it's rewarding in so many ways, particularly helping these animals and allowing them to go back out to their natural habitat.
And you just see that you are not important, you know. It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's a life-changing experience, Monica.
It is.
I can hear that from your story.
And there's nothing like being peed on by a monkey.
Yeah. You have to get used to it, because one Choka, the first one, was like, he liked to sit on my head. And then he just pooed on my head and peed on my head. But you get used to it. It's not important. It's not really important. It's just how it is. And the best thing was once when I was in the cage, and it's about, 3-4 meters high. 3 of them went high up on the top, and then they sat on top of me and peed on me, and they really enjoyed it.
So, do you have any idea how long you'll be able to do this kind of volunteering?
Yeah, I have an idea. No, I just want to go quite soon, once again. And then when I come back, I have to think about what I'm doing. You know, I have to find a job, maybe part-time job, so that I can earn a bit money. And then I can go and do it again.
Ah.
And then do it again, but then I have to come back, and because, you have to pay. Even if you're volunteer, you have to pay for for the flights and for food sometimes. And the place where I were, it's quite expensive. There are also places where you don't have to pay that much, so you go and have to find several places and then compare.
So have you looked at other programs outside of Africa, other countries?
Yeah, not I haven't been deep into it, but I'm thinking of maybe going to baby elephants to Sri Lanka or Thailand. I'm not sure yet.
Ooh, I would love baby elephants.
They are cute, yeah. Just all baby animals are cute. They are just like children.
But when an elephant pees on you, I assume it's a different deal, isn't it?
And if he sits on my lap, I think it wouldn't be the same like a monkey. Yeah.
What about working with humans? This thing about being a healer, does that extend to humans maybe in the future?
Yeah, not as a healer, but I was thinking going maybe to Nepal or to Philippines to help building houses for them also.
So that core instinct of being a healer indeed was right, but not literally in that sense, but as somebody who helps others, yeah?
Yep. Yeah. I just have it makes me, I don't know, joyful. I enjoy it to help other people.
Mm. And does this feel natural? Does this feel the sort of path that the universe wanted you to take?
Yes. It feels just natural. It's normal. My little favorite mango got ill about 1 week before I had to leave. And he was very weak. And he had to be taken out of the cage. And he was lying there very weak on the floor, on the ground beside my chair. And I was sad. He was there, and I was sad. I was crying actually because I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to lose him. And this little guy, he didn't have any power. He took the rest of the power and jumped on my lap and made funny faces in front of me because he just sensed how I was feeling, and he wanted to cheer me up. And that was so impressive.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
That's it. Thank you very much to Monica for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
And thank you to Mike. Thank you to Gail. Thank you to Sarah. Thank you to Janine. And hope you'll join us again.